Welcome to Hot Hoops, episode 9, here live from Studio 125. Jon Alba, Morey, Hershgordon, Dylan Fearon. Gentlemen, the MAAC tournament is right around the corner. It's time to talk not just Quinnipiac basketball, but alongside the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Once again, welcome to everyone who's listening, who's watching on Q30television.com. We very much appreciate your support. Let's get right down to business. Let's start with the men's basketball team here at Quinnipiac. 14-13 overall, 8-10. It's been a little bit of a slide for Tom Moore's team, not the typical February output. Dylan, your thoughts?
Well, a pretty bad start to the MAAC season, 0-4, and they kind of brought themselves back. You're at 5-5. You're looking at a top 5 bye in the MAAC tournament, and then you lose a couple in a row, and now you're looking at 8-10. You're not going to get that bye. The highest seed you can get is the 6th seed going into Albany. You're going to probably play on Thursday night. Really not the February that Tom Moore is used to. And now you've got these 2 games against Siena Manhattan. You could be looking at 8-12 and a possible 7 or even 8 seed in Albany.
Morey, why hasn't it been the February that Tom Moore's used to?
It's the lack of production from Zaid Hurst. 10.6 points per game over the last 6 games. That's as many as James Ford Jr. is averaging in that span. As Zaid Hurst goes, Quinnipiac goes, that was the story for the first half of the season. Like you said, in February, the latter stages just hasn't been there.
Well, looking ahead at the projected MAAC tournament bracket, if you will, Quinnipiac right now is in as a 6th seed. It cannot get a first round bye. It is out of position for that. It can drop, though, guys. 2 more games for this team, 1 against Siena, 1 against Manhattan. Is this going to be a 6th seed team, or do you think it's going to drop?
No, I think it's going to be a 6 seed or even a 7 seed. And either seed, it doesn't matter. As long as they aren't in that 8-9 seeded game where if they would win that game, they would play the 1 seed who was presumably to be Iona. They're going to play a battle-tested Siena team. Jimmy Pastos always fired up. His Saints coming to Hamden. They're going to be fired up. A game on ESPNU on Friday night. And then, you know, it's never easy in Draddy against Manhattan. It's their senior day. Emmy Andujar and company, they're going to be firing on all cylinders.
I don't think the seed matters because either way this team's in jeopardy because you're going to be playing a Fairfield team, scrappy, great coach at Sidney Johnson, or you're going to play a Marist team who's finally gotten healthy. They've gotten all their pieces back. They've got 2 really potent scorers, really great offense from that team. They've lost some close games too. So either way, I think this team's in a little bit of trouble.
Quinnipiac's had its hands full with Fairfield this season. A couple of games that could have gone either way that ultimately did not come away with. Talking about the rest of the field here in the MAAC, we kept saying all season long how it's Iona or bust, but things lately outside of Iona have gotten a little more competitive. Monmouth is a legitimate threat, as is seemingly Canisius all of a sudden. Riders in the mix. Are we saying the same thing about the MAAC anymore?
I think it's still Iona and everyone else, just like Tom Moore alluded to a few weeks ago, because we don't know about Matt Lopez and what's going on with Ryder. Monmouth, I just don't like Monmouth that much. I don't think they're a team that can go far in the MAAC tournament. Canisius, they've lost Phil Valenti. We're not sure what's going to happen with them. So it's really Iona, and then you've got these other teams. Manhattan has a chance to upset just like last year, but I think it's Iona and then the rest of the conference.
Quinnipiac, St. Peter's has even been strong. They're a great defensive team. I think you're going to see, John, a team in the first round on the first day that doesn't get a bye in that semifinal or championship game.
And that's what we thought all season long, too. We thought that a team was going to get hot coming out of that first round and ride that momentum. It's just like what happens in actual March Madness when you head into the NCAA Tournament. A team gets hot, they upset a team that they shouldn't beat, and they roll into the Sweet 16. We've seen it with LaSalle. We've seen it with a bunch of other teams. Maybe that comes out of the MAAC this year. Not sure yet. So, gentlemen, real quick, your final predictions. Who this team plays in the beginning of the MAAC tournament. What seed are they locked in as? Where are we going to be next week?
They're going to be a 6th seed, in my opinion, and they're going to probably play Fairfield. And to be honest with you, on that Thursday night game, if they're playing Fairfield, it's going to be a really close game, battle-tested, and this team might be going home on Thursday night.
Fairfield or Marist, 6 or 7. We have to see how these last 2 games
play out. You got to give me something definitive, Morey.
No,
6
because
or
I don't.
7.
Because I don't know. All right, I'll go with the 7. Because
we're paying you to make a pick.
Either they're going to be riding a 5-game losing streak going in to Albany, or they're going to be riding a 2-game winning streak. I don't see them splitting these last 2 games. Either they win these last 2 and ride the hot hand, and then, like we said, they can make a run, or 5-game losing streak, they could be done by Thursday night at midnight.
Keep in mind, last year, this Quinnipiac team was prepped for a deep run in the MAAC tournament. Umar Shannon goes down. It's a semifinals exit. That seems to be the motif with Tom Moore over the past several years. Hard time getting to that championship game. He's been there once. Didn't work out on his home court. Now it's a mutual site. We'll see what happens there on that end. We move over to the women. 26-3, 18-0, undefeated in conference play. A tough stretch of 4 games on the road to finish the season. Ultimately, these 4 games don't really matter all that much, do they, Morey?
No, they don't really matter. But, John, you don't want to bring that lackadaisical play down. They are playing 3 sub-500 teams to finish the year. Last night they played Manhattan. They won 82-71. And something when you look in the box score, you see Boo Abshire, 5 turnovers last night, 3 turnovers on Sunday afternoon against Iona, 8 turnovers. In the prior 12 games, she committed 8 turnovers. So, you don't want any of that play to fall before you go to Albany. You just want to keep playing well, spread the offense out, play all 10, 11, 12 players, whatever they do.
I think one thing that's really interesting, guys, and that we've talked about on the past couple of weeks and even months, is that this team needed a loss to try to regain their focus and into the MAAC tournament, just because it's so hard to just run through the regular season slate in the conference schedule and then do it again in the tournament. I think this team needed a loss. They haven't gotten it yet. We saw Canisius shot the lights out.
There's been a lot of close games.
Close ones. Manhattan the other night with a chance, basically a game that they had no chance of winning and no reason to even be close in that. I think they really needed a loss. They haven't gotten it yet. We can see it. They'll get it when they play a couple of New Jersey squads in the next couple of days.
They're playing these let-down first halves almost where things are so much closer than they actually should be. And it's not necessarily just on them. These teams are showing up. Canisius showing up, shooting 70% from 3. These other squads are putting up a formidable run. Last night against Manhattan, I had one of the MAAC media members say to me, Quinnipiac played at basically 50% effort last night. At least it seemed that way, and still won by 11. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. Let's look at the field going forward. Quinnipiac is locked in as the number 1. It is the regular season champion heading into the MAAC tournament. At the number 2, you have Marist. Marist is locked in. Things could change a little bit from there on. You have Fairfield at the number 3, Iona at the number 4, and Siena is locked in at the number 5. That's a very heavy top 5, guys.
Well, and it's very interesting, the seeding, because last year we saw it was Iona that was the 3, Fairfield the 4. Now we could be seeing Fairfield that gets locked in at the 3 because they right now own the tiebreaker against Iona. They play Thursday night against Iona, so we'll see if they can get the 3. The top 4, it's really the top 4 and everyone else. And that top 4 is very, very tough.
Morey, you told me that you had a bad feeling about this tournament coming up for this Quinnipiac women's team. Why do you say that?
Because they've played 4 road games in the past week. It's a lot of traveling. You talk to some of the players. They had to take a bus down to New York City, New Rochelle to play Iona on Sunday. Then they come back to school. You have to go to class. Then they travel back down Tuesday night to play Manhattan. Then they're back in Ryder. Down south, 2 hours, 3 hours on the bus. It's mentally taxing. It's draining. They're going on 30 games now. I just think they need that rest. They need to win that first game. That first game is going to be the most pivotal game in the MAAC tournament because they're going to play a team that's not as good as Marist, Iona, and Fairfield are. But if they play like the Canisius team played 2 weeks ago on Sunday, Quinnipiac could see themselves out of it.
Last question I have for you guys, because we got to wrap things up here. We already know that Quinnipiac is number 1. As of now, if things were to say, would play the winner of Canisius and Monmouth. Let's say this team doesn't win the MAAC tournament as of right now, because we'll ask this question again next week. But as of right now, does it have enough backing behind it to earn an at-large bid?
No, absolutely not, because they really need to win against Florida Gulf Coast in Pennsylvania. If they had gotten that win against a nationally ranked team, against a team that's going to be in the tournament, and if you had beaten Harvard as well in South Bend, then I'd say, yeah, they got a chance if they lose in the championship game. But if they lose in the semifinals, no. But you lost to Florida Gulf Coast, you lost to Harvard. I think at this point, it's either an automatic bid or you're not in.
Dylan's right with getting to the championship game. I think that's a must. I think weirder things have happened. I think if you win out 20-0, I mean, you got to look at 20-0 and give that some sense of
who's their quality
legitimacy.
out-of-conference victory at that point, though?
Well, you have
St. Joe's.
You have St. Joe's.
Alabama isn't in this case.
Bottom of the SEC.
Correct. Albany is, though, atop the America East. Drexel's kind of right there. Hampton is
Army.
Army.
You had those, but those teams ultimately didn't play out like the way that people thought they were going to.
Well, Hampton and Army are both atop the MAAC. and the Patriot League. So if those two teams get in, you're saying, well, Quinnipiac beat
two tournament teams.
Beat two mid-major conference champions. Well, why aren't they right there in the discussion? They have to get to the championship game. They can't lose until the championship game. I don't think they get the at-large bid if they do lose, but they got to at least get that.
I'm in agreement with you, Morey. I think that there is still an outside chance, but it's going to come down to who's that quality victory. And if they determine that it's Army or Hampton, that's going to work in their favor. But I absolutely hear you out. I think they need to win the conference tournament. The other teams need to win their conference tournaments for Quinnipiac to have that extra leverage.
Yeah, one thing to add. You don't want any team who went 500 or below in their conference to beat a Hampton or to beat an Army, to take that spot, to then throw Army or Hampton in the at-large mix.
That's all we have for this extended edition of Hot Hoops. If you're looking for more information on Q30 Sports, you can check us out on social media at Q30 Sports, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want to find us, alongside online at www.q30television.com. Dylan Fearon on Twitter at PutTheFearon, Morey Hershgordon at MAAC, Jon Alba at Jon Alba SFC, JONALBA SFC. That's all we got here. We'll see you next time.